Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, check out the Potown store. They've even got the new Cosmic Eclipse stuff for you, and you can get a 5% discount on your orders using the OmniPoke code. For today's video, we're looking at Dark Box. This has been a heavily requested archetype, and I do think it changes quite a bit from the Cosmic Eclipse stuff. You gain a lot of speed thanks to Red and Blue. We have acceleration now in the form of a supporter, which is pretty awesome at our disposal. And a few other pieces here and there as well. So the deck has changed quite a bit from pre-Cosmic Eclipse, so we'll be jumping into it now. Starting off with that Weavile line, I am playing the new Sneasel. Agility, I think, is a pretty nice attack just in those panic button situations to try and protect your Sneasel. Alternatively, you can be playing Sneaky Smash if you want to, but I think Agility makes sense here. We want to max out copies of this card. You want to get a Sneasel down turn 1, so you can Red and Blue onto it turn 2, because it's just such a big swing in the game if you're able to get that off. We play a high count of the Weavile, 3, so that hopefully we have some in deck, even though we're sometimes using Dedenne Change and Lily and stuff turn 1. Hopefully there's still enough Weaviles in your deck for targets for the Red and Blue. And it's enough so that, you know, if they are picked off with great catches and stuff, you still have more Weaviles you can put into play, so you can take advantage of that Shadow Connection, which is the sort of core of the deck, really. You can move basic Dark Energy from like anywhere on your board, however you like, as often as you like, so that's really awesome. That's why the synergy with Red and Blue is so strong. You go ahead, grab those two energies, put them on your Weavile, and then straight away Shadow Connection allows you to move them around. It's a pretty sweet combo. Its attacks aren't fantastic. Claw Slash is 130, which is okay for non-GXs. Nocturnal Maneuvers I've literally never used, but it can be done in very awkward situations if you've got not much else going for you. But yeah, pretty reasonable overall, mainly for the ability here, and the synergy of Red and Blue is pretty obvious. The other stage 1 that we play is still the 3-3 Naga line. I do like having Naganadel charging up in the background still, replenishing energy when our stuff gets knocked out, of course, and just giving us like additional attachments throughout the entire game on top of the Red and Blue, because let's face it, it's like a B-string type thing. You don't want to only rely on Red and Blue the whole time, so having charge up in there is also going to be really helpful for you. This offers an extra type coverage in Psychic typing, and Turning Point can be a dangerous attack, especially on that 3 prize turn. You can do 160, which is really nice. Great Catcher, of course, picking up Dedennes, which can be cool, and also hitting for weakness on Mewtwo is not too shabby either. From there, we have our tag team attackers. I'm going with 2 copies of Umbreon and Darkrai. I like this as the sort of opening attacker a lot of the time. For just 2 dark and a colourless, you can do 150 to the active and 60 to one of your opponent's bench GXs or EXs. Now, obviously Mew is around and this can be mitigated, but a lot of the time you can get this down early and stuff, be pressurizing things. 60 damage being set up is really helpful for a lot of different attackers. It can set up like future Black Lances on like stage 1 GXs that have like 210 hit points, which there are plenty of out there. It can be great for putting damage on Dedennes so that you can knock them out with the Guzzlord later on for an additional prize card. And also against opposing tag teams, especially those with 270 hit points or less, you can do that 60 damage, and then a Sableye can finish one of those off, and again, take additional prizes. So the Black Lance setting up damage is often awesome, and 150 to the active is solid. It's 2-shotting tag teams, and it's being like reasonable in general, knocking out non-GXs basically all the time, and again, still setting up math against other stuff, so pretty decent. We then have the Dark Moon GX attack, which is great in both stages, really. If you're having a slow early game, or you feel like your opponent is going to put a lot of pressure on you, with like welders or getting some combos rolling, you can try and deny that with just the single colorless Dark Moon GX, which stops your opponent playing trainers from their hand during the next turn, so it really does stop their sort of combo potential, protects your board a little bit, which can be nice, especially because you're trying to evolve your Sneasels and Poipoles up. Maybe it gives you an extra turn here and there, which can give you a bit of breathing space with this deck because we are setup based. But there's also the option of us getting 6 energies onto this guy and knocking out the opponent's active, and then also leaving them with no trainers usable during the next turn. So it can be heavily disruptive. It stops the opponent stamping us as well, which is always fantastic because it can make us hold pieces to just close games. And yeah, Dark Moon GX is definitely one to bear in mind because we will go for it a decent chunk of the time. It's one of our strongest ones for sure. We then have 1 copy of the new Mega Lopunny in Jigglypuff. I do really like this card. It's got solid damage output, really punishes PikaRom style decks, also Mewtwo decks. Sometimes even Ability Zard if they've had to Dedenne once or twice or whatever. So Jumping Balloon, same attack cost really as the Darkrai, just 3 energies. Gets us rolling with 60 base and 60 more for each of your opponent's Pokemon GX and EX in play. Again, this can get into one-hit KOs if it's the right matchup, but at the same time, it's like a third Darkrai in a lot of situations, where it can just be putting decent damage on in the early turns and setting up math for our other attackers as well. So even if it's not getting one-shots, it's doing a good chunk most of the time. And yeah, it's pretty decent. Also, it does have the Puffy Smashes GX attack. It's one that you can't really scoff at, because we have so much energy acceleration. I've used this a few times just to close the game on Dedenne and such. It does a 200 damage snipe to one of your opponent's bench if you have 5 energy total attached to yourself. And you also send the opponent's active to sleep, which I guess is a small upside sometimes. And similar to the Dark Moon GX, if you're in a panic situation, you can just do the 1 energy, send the opponent's active to sleep, and hopefully that buys you a turn. Like I said, only in panic situations, but still something to bear in mind. We still play 1 copy of Mega Sableye and Tyranitar. Greedy Crush, really solid attack still, especially with the setup damage from these other attackers that we have in the deck, and we get to take those additional prizes, which is similar to how Arceus Palkia and Dialga gets a lot of its wins. We'll do the same thing with our Sableye in this deck, but we also have that Gigafall GX attack, which is actually very dangerous for a lot of archetypes. There's a lot of Clefairy based sort of looping decks out there. I'm trying to use either Florges or Oranguru. There's obviously Pidgeotto control, stuff like that. And milling the top 15 cards of your opponent's deck will definitely be a win condition for you. So yeah, bear Gigafall GX in mind. It can be a game winner against some of these archetypes. So yeah, that can be pretty sweet, to be honest. It's actually really, really solid right now with the amount of like annoying stally decks. Even things like Behemoth and stuff can get caught in the crossfire. You just mill them out and they lost themselves the game. So yeah, that GX attack is really awesome as well to bear in mind. We play 1 copy of the new Guzzlord. It's an Ultra Beast, so searchable via Ultra Space, which we are playing in here, which is nice. 150 hit points is pretty tanky for a basic. It does come with 2 attacks. Mountain Munch is kind of take it or leave it. For 1 dark, you can discard the top card of your opponent's deck. But Red Banquet does 120 for 4. Not exactly an efficient attack, but at the same time, you do get to take an extra prize card when you knock stuff out with this guy. So getting huge upgrade potential with this is insane. You can... Again, if Darkrai set up damage for like a Dedenne or something, that's insane. Against most non-GXs, it's insane, including Giratina, thanks to the weakness that you hit. You do 240 to them, which is awesome. So Red Banquet deals with a lot of non-GXs really well, really pressurizes those sorts of archetypes, and is worth the space for that alone, really. So yeah, pretty sweet card overall. I initially had like 2 copies in here, but I realized that 4 energy is still pretty slow, and even if you are able to ramp to 4 energy turn 2, which can happen with turn attach, then attach red and blue, usually it means you need to have like 2 backup Nagas ready to go, or like a second red and blue sort of lined up, otherwise you won't get a follow-up attack. So I've just limited myself to 1 Guzzlord, but I do still find him pretty reasonable against non-GX matchups, so yeah, just the 1 copy right now. From there, we are playing 1 copy of Ditto. Do be careful with Ditto Prism. Although it seems always amazing because it's both a Poipole and a Sneasel, you can't red and blue a Ditto because you can only evolve via its ability. Ditto obviously evolves into nothing normally. So yeah, it's not a valid target for red and blue. So bear that in mind. Still a good basic though. It's still, you know, just going to get the job done in almost every situation, so I do believe he's still worth the space. And then we play 1 copy of Dedenne-GX. Don't play any more copies because board space gets super tight with this deck. There is that small headache of prizing things, but I'm taking that risk really. But yeah, we're just playing Pokecoms, no cherishes, so we don't have super great odds to find this guy anyways. But it's still like an additional 5 outs to not dead draw, so it's pretty good. Yeah. You know how good Dedenne is really at the end of the day. Onto the trainers, we have a couple 2-ofs, 2 copies of Switch. I prefer this to like Night City because I think Ultra Space and Swell just serve better purposes. So yeah, 2 Switch as well as the board to give us some good freedom of movement. Board works on Dedenne, Lopuff, Weavile, Naga. Yeah, pretty good all round. The 2 switches obviously for our chunkier stuff. We also have an Mallow and Lana in here that can offer additional switching outs, so I think we have a good amount of flexibility right now, even without things like Super Scoop Up, so I think 2 is probably the right number. 2 Great Catchers, it's a phenomenal card for this deck. Obviously Sableye, Greedy Crushing, Dedennes for 3 prizes can be phenomenal as a like straight up win condition. Same thing for like Guzzlord. If you've pre-damaged a tag team or something like that, you can like Great Catcher, Guzzlord and take 4 prizes on them or whatever. So yeah, Great Catcher, just a super solid card all around. 2 Acro Bike, just for giving us a bit of extra discard synergy as well as push potential, because we are a clunky setup deck, so trying to weave in a couple bikes seems good. I initially had like 4 because I was like, man, this deck is kind of Lego, right? I want to draw a lot of cards, but we actually play a lot of like one-offs. So I decided to trim it back a little bit to just 2. I think 2 is a good number in my eyes. We then have 3 Tag Call. I really, really love this card. It's super insane. It lets us get away with some pretty low counts of things like Lopunny and Titar. We can have great accessibility to those cards. Gets us into Umbreon Darkrai super early, so we can get attaching to him, which is great. But at the same time, it gets us towards Red and Blue, Mallow, Lana, and Cynthia and Caitlin. Playing Tag Calls is obviously way better than just playing like 4 physical copies of Red and Blue, because they're like dead for the majority of the game. Whereas Tag Call throughout like more of the game is more live, because it can get us into draw cards, it can get us into our attackers and Mallow and Lana. So this item card is amazing, thins the deck for us, and gets us towards the like high outs of Red and Blue, so we can use it on that second turn. So that's pretty sweet. Tag Call is a really, really good card. Super impressed by it, and I'm trying to weave in tag team supporter engines into pretty much any deck that I can. So yeah, Tag Call is pretty sick, and I think 3 is a good number. We have 4 Pokémon to try and get towards Sneasels, and also put Weaviles back into our deck so that Red and Blue is live. For stadiums, I'm playing 1 Swell. Obviously helps out against Power Plant based decks, because it basically bumps 2 Power Plants, which is fantastic. Also adds some disruption to opposing stadiums just in general, even if they're ones that you're not necessarily scared of. You deny your opponent their choice of stadium, so that's pretty sweet. But we still play 3 copies of Ultra Space. You could go for like a 2-2 split, but I like having access to Poipole and Naga as quickly as possible, because we are still setup reliant, and we do like to see charging up as much as possible. Usually you would see like Viridian Forest, but we have better discard synergy now via Cynthia Caitlin, Mallow Lana, Red and Blue, and the bikes. So I think that aspect of the deck is like kind of covered now by other stuff. So I definitely think Ultra Space is like my preferred stadium of choice. Onto the support account. So as I've mentioned, Tag Call is like a big part of the deck. It means that we can play a slightly lower count of Red and Blue, find him when we need him, use him, and get a bunch of energies into play, which is fantastic. Even if you just play 2 copies, you can always try and Cynthia and Caitlin them back if you want to at some point later in the game, so that's pretty reasonable. Cynthia and Caitlin is, you know, a tag callable draw 3, but it can also be like a draw 4 and guarantee yourself a supporter for the following turn. Not super powerful supporters that we can recover in this deck. Obviously, with the discard synergy of these cards, Lily is like live for like a good amount of the game. But Cynthia and Caitlin still serves a really good purpose, just because it can get back like Mallow Lana in the matchups where she's good, Red and Blue for like additional acceleration, just so you like always have the backup attackers ready to go, and at the same time it's just helping you filter through the deck as well. So I really do think that she is solid all round, or the combo, these 2 girls are pretty good together. And then we just have the 4 Lily, turn 1 support, still super important to try and get our basics down. It's as simple as that, really. The final tool I haven't mentioned, we've already talked about U-Turn Board. The Stealthy Hood, it's basically in here just for Mimikyu, and also helps out against Ninetales as well. So yeah, slap it on your Weavile so you can keep using Shadow Connection and don't get beetled by a one-of that a bunch of people play in Shrine decks. So yeah. And 12 Dark Energy rounds out the deck. Now, I've had a bunch of iterations of this deck, to be honest. I didn't like start off with the heavy Tag Call engine, but I was so impressed by the card in other decks that I just thought trying to go down this route made sense to me. But there's a few other directions you could have. Definitely in the support account, it can be different. I've tried an Oak setting build, because there's obviously Dark and Water Sneasels, as well as Ditto Poipole, so you can try and like get a bunch of Pokemon down. I felt like it didn't have enough draw power. You can try adding in B-strings, stamps, customs, just to make the Guzzlord stronger. Like you can play double Guzzlord, B-string, and like customs, and really lean into Red Banquet as much as you can. There's the option of playing the Dragon Naga as well, and like even heavy Ultra Space, like a 4th Ultra Space and no Swell. I didn't like that as much because board space gets really tight with this deck, and it feels like whenever you're putting a Dragon Naga into play, you would just prefer a charging up most of the time. So, yeah, I've had a lot of experimentation with the deck. I'm still not like sold that this is the ideal 60, but it's like where I'm most happy so far. So yeah, it's still a work in progress. I think Dark Box is going to continue to be a work in progress for a while. I don't think it's quite going to be a tier 1 archetype, despite all the stuff that it does gain. But I think it will find its niches. I think it can be a nice non-GX smasher with the combination of Malolana that you can recycle, as well as the Red Banquet that we have with Guzzlord. I think you can punish some control-based decks thanks to Mega Sabletar. So yeah, I think it's got a place in the meta for sure. But I don't think it's going to be like a tier 1 style archetype, because it still does have some consistency issues. But that's just where I'm at with it. And I'm sure that there's more experimentation to be done with the deck as well. So it's about finding that right blend. I'm pretty content with it right now, but we'll see how it goes. On the ladder today, we are up against an Oranguru. And Red Banquet is actually super good against Pidgeotto control decks as well. We also have our Sabletar, which is definitely worth looking at. We have our Dedenne as well, which is nice. We're obviously going to get the Sneasel here. Normally, you would just go ahead and grab the Ditto, right? Because it can be both things. But when it's red and blue, you actually prefer the physical Sneasel a lot of the time. I'm checking my Malolana as well, because that's like a recoverable switch card that we can do with Cynthia Caitlin. We have our U-Turn Board, 2 physical switch. Alright. So yeah, against Pidgeotto control, we have a lot of good attacks, actually. Red Banquet is obviously good. Sabletar can be really good. And at the same time... Yeah, we'll put this down. At the same time... What's it called? Even Darkrai-GX attack can be really good. Because they can't stamp you, and they can't do anything. They can't, like, surge or do literally anything that turn, so... This like whole package, the Dark deck in general, just has a lot of answers to Pidgeotto control. Puts them on a clock early with Guzzlord, especially if you can red and blue turn 2. We've not drawn into any good supporter from here on, but we still have a decent number of top decks, like Pokémon Dedenne, any tag call, red and blue itself, Cynthia Caitlin. Like we have a good amount of draws here, and we still have like time against this deck because we always have charge up. They do get their opening Elm. They Pokegear for a Mars. And they're just going to pass it to us. Okay. Oh, we nailed it. We top decked a red and blue, which is absolutely insane. Absolutely nailed that. We can get some darks in the discard pile to get our Naga rolling. So we're going to be red banqueting turn 2. They still have a 42 card deck, so it's such a rush for them to try and assemble any sort of disruption combo right now. We're going to be going down to 4 prizes straight away. It's a similar effect to how Arceus Palkia Dialga can be a problem for this archetype out of nowhere. It really is a lot of pressure. We've even got Swell in play right now, so we're covered from just a power plant destroying us. Like, yeah, this is great pressure from the off. Kind of high rolled the draw of the red and blue, not gonna lie, but I'm gonna take it. It's pretty good. Previously, Dark's matchup was pretty weak against this deck. It was just trying to like Naga as much as you can, and just try and say like get them to have a low enough deck that you Sabletar and wreck them. Okay, yeah, they literally just Mars and concede because they missed Elm, so they're not able to get enough birds to get anywhere near a disruption hand combo plus. Like, they had to Stadium that turn and then Power Plant the next turn as well. Like, they needed so much and we just give them no time. So that was pretty decisive. It can be pretty good against that matchup. And that's really good because birds seem strong otherwise. I think Dark Box and Arceus Palkia Dialga does pose a threat to them, especially if your Dark Box deck plays Swells, because they're oftentimes relying on that power plant to stick to have a chance against you. So we've started Sneasel, and we have Lily and Red and Blue for next turn, so everything's looking decent so far. Getting the benefit of a mulligan. It may end up that Cynthia and Caitlin's going to draw us more cards. We're up against a PikaRom, so certainly Lopuff is going to be one of those attackers that we look towards. Let's get a mulligan card. 7 in hand, 8 in hand after draw for turn. Yeah, it looks like Cynthia Caitlin may be stronger, unless I draw. What do I need to draw? No, it feels like Cynthia Caitlin will be a stronger turn 1 option here. I have debated between Lily and just regular Cynthias, especially when you're using Cynthia Caitlin and getting back Lilies. It's always a bit of a feels bad. So that's still to be explored. But I think a lot of the time, Lily is still pretty chill. So PikaRom's one of these decks that hasn't really gained a huge amount from the new set, and it has to be really afraid of Lopuff. I think that's definitely a fear factor. Not many people expect Lopuff necessarily to just like be in Dark Box either, so many times people have just not played around it against me, and I've just been like, here it is, dead, obviously, you know. And 240 is a really easy number for Lopuff. It's just 3 GXs in play, which is PikaRom's health, of course. With a hand like this, I'm happy we play Agility Sneasel. Then again, a Sneaky Smash would also be decent, in fairness. Oh, they missed... Wait, why are they not happy? Do they not choose a Dedenne off their radar? I don't know what they did there. They had a Voltner, so I don't know how they messed it up. Do I want to Agility? No, I just want to do this. 3, 6. So 2, 4, 5. So we draw 3 either way, so we'll just do this. We do get a space, which is definitely nice. We'll get this. Lopuff isn't prized, which is pretty sweet. Darkrai's also here. We have 3 Weaviles, 2 Great Catchers. Malolana is actually a really good card because you basically deny their early full blitz. The Malolana is super good against like Malamar. It's also really good against Arceus Palkia Dialga, I've found, so something to bear in mind. We don't necessarily need to protect this Sneasel. I'm just thinking what I want to... I'm holding Switch anyway, so I don't need to necessarily put anything down. I might still put this guy down, though. Like, being conscious of board space is really important in this deck. What am I red and bluing next turn? Red and blue away, probably Lillian, something else. I can always tag call for the Lopuff next turn if he wants to go, like, Zero Aura, Dedenne. Yeah, I think we'll just chill. Also, it makes our hand look worse, which is a good thing, for sure. Making your hand look worse and then bursting a Lopuff on the scene sounds really, really solid. They whiff Stellar Wish, which is pretty weird. Oh, they're still sad face emoting? Okay. I don't know why they're sad face emote. I mean, they had radar, so why didn't they just grab a Dedenne and get rolling, you know? So we could be red banqueting this turn for 2 prizes. If we wanted. And I think I do want. It seems good. Especially when I have... Like, I think because we drew the extra Poipole, it sounds better to me. So I can switch into this man. I can red and blue away Darkrai and Lily? No, Darkrai, Lily, and Caitlin. No, Darkrai and Lily. Yeah. I have my other Cynthia Caitlin, right? Yeah. Either one will do. And let's eat, I guess. Now this is obviously perfect full blitz numbers for him. Ooh, U-Turn Board's a really good card for us to draw. But they're really not doing much else right now. I feel like we kind of have this luxury. He's starting to put GXs down, which is phenomenal news for us. What were they holding this entire time? And they... okay, what? I'm surprised they didn't stamp us either. Even though it's 4 cards to 4 cards, I red and blued away a supporter, so they have to know I have a supporter in hand too, right? Alright, let's go full blitz. And it's all going to the back, which is fine. Let's go ahead and grab a nag. Let's go ahead and tackle. I think I just want to bin a Malolana with our Cynthia Caitlin. Everything else in our hand is really solid. Nice. Alright. We get double nag. We get attachment, we get jumping balloon for a knockout. Go down to 1. Going down to 1 prize is a bit yikes, but like we're obviously getting stamped and he could tag bolt with 2E powers to knock us out, but I think it's pretty chill. Got to make him have it for one thing, and also puts him kind of all in. Let's do that jumping balloon. 300 is a good number. We took the red and blue, by the way, so I can like close the game a little easier. Just get a swarm of energies into play and go for like a Dark Moon GX attack or something. They're going to put down a Choo-Choo. They do E-Power once. And twice. So they're probably going to be... Actually, if they E-Power a 3rd time, they can Full Blitz and knock us out. They're at 210 right now with Full Blitz. Tag Bolt gets there, obviously. If they hadn't answered the low puff, we would just win instantly with charge up, Puffy smashes GX, which is pretty funny. Do they have a stamp to boot? They have radar for Dedenne. One other card you could consider in the deck is 1 copy of Mewtwo, just to try and reuse things like your Darkrai, your Lopuff, your Sableye. You could choose to play that over like one of the 2 Darkrai's that we play potentially. So they're definitely going to Dedenne change, right? Yeah. They get the 30 power, so they can do a crazy good full blitz turn here. Setting up a choo-choo for game, basically. Can they also stamp us, is the question. They haven't supported yet, right? They can Volkner, maybe. They get a Mew down to play around Puffy Smashes. Ah, they have a Bill. They're definitely digging for a stamp here, you gotta feel. Alright, it's gonna be a stamp. Which is pretty scary. We hit a red and blue, but obviously... Oh, we actually can use it, because we have space and draw for turn. It wouldn't really do us much, though. Wait, how many energies? Oh, 6 already in the discard pile? Crazy. It is our best way of fitting the deck. So I guess I just leave a Naga active this turn. And play this red and blue. We're probably going to be losing here to customs. We haven't seen any from them yet. But, you know. It is what it is. I think possibly the Guzzlord attack I did this game was too... Wait, why did I just retreat into that one? I definitely retreated into the wrong guy. Alright. Let's just assume we lost ourselves the game. I was meant to retreat to the Naga, but we knew we lost there, right? His hand was, like, super stacked. I think the Guzzlord attack was actually probably wrong. I probably should have just waited, accumulated energies, and then gone for the Darkrai-GX attack on the PikaRom instead. Just let them get the full blitz in, because we kind of went the long way around trying to take prizes, and PikaRom is a stamp deck. Let's be honest with ourselves. All right, we'll get into the next game. Yeah, I think I made a mistake there. Even using the Darkrai was probably better than the Guzzlord. You know, I discarded the Darkrai. Yeah, I played pretty badly there. Alright, we're getting a couple of mulligans. That is one thing you'll notice about the gameplay of the new set stuff. I'm still learning all the decks, so it's not going to be too surprising if I don't play perfectly each time. Well, we do get Poipole, Sneasel. I'm calling this Ditto a Poipole, by the way. We can also do a quick call. Malolana, again, a very strong card in this matchup. Dark Moon GX, also a fantastic GX attack this matchup. Because they are so reliant on, like, plant stamp as being a disruptive element. We have red and blue for next turn. Everything looks chill. Everything looks chill. Oh, they stamp immediately. That's a shame. Well, we got back into tag call. Tag call can get rid of Stealthy Hood and probably Sableye. Sableye is only good if they put down Xerneas GX. They go ahead and get themselves a backup Guardian to Ferrisong onto, as well as a Guzma and Howler. Okay, so we're doing 180 with this Jumping Balloon this turn. It's pretty sick. So we're going to go ahead and get red and blue. So this goes, and probably the Weavile goes. Yeah, we have backup Weaviles. So I guess I take this, so I can just bench it next turn and make the Lily better. Alrighty. We can get our charge ups rolling. Acro Bike seems fine. I don't mind getting a backup Sneasel down because they can always custom a knockout Weavile. Not that I think they will, especially because there's a Lopuff in their face, but something that can happen. We'll move our energies around. Don't think I need to bench any of these guys. We can just go for a Jumping Balloon. And you can see, even against green decks, Jumping Balloon is a really solid attack. Really solid attacker in this deck, for sure. Just in the game. But this is a deck that can use it, you know? So it's just a good card. Makes people play differently. It makes them play badly around Stamp as well, because they're like not putting stuff into play. It's just, even like the stuff it does off the board is insane. It's just a really good card. Does so much. So they're gonna greens here. So they tag called for a Guzma, but then like chose not to use it. They grab a Great Potion and a switch. Gonna see that Great Potion. The Lopuff also only has one retreat, which is super good. Okay, they're just gonna Fairy Song. As my computer tells me that it's dying. So I'm gonna put down the Darkrai here. It can certainly be a good attacker this turn. I don't need to play switch because I can just charge up. The only thing bothering me right now is that we don't have a stadium. Actually, because of that, I'll commit the energies to both my tag teams, basically. So that we're not concerned about a power plant too much. That Lance seems really strong here. Putting this to 70 is not the best, but it's still decent pressure. Makes them have more heals. Obviously, being a tag call engine themselves now, they can be benefiting from Mallow and Lana. But I think we're in a pretty good spot here. Okay, yeah, they are going to use Mallow and Lana. They're going to heal up basically all the damage we just did to them. Get rid of Cynthia Caitlin and a Charm. There is a Xerneas, so that I'm glad I haven't discarded Sableye. We still have one Great Catcher, right? Oh, we still have both Great Catchers. And they're going to go for Kaleidostorm. They're going to unload some energies. Looks like they're trying to set up the GX attack for next turn. It would be awesome to punish it. It would be awesome if we could, but we can't really. So I think the best thing to do is just go back into this Lopuff now and take the knockout of Lopuff. So I keep 3 energies on the Darkrai to be able to Dark Moon. And so I'm not just sacrificing the prizes. Ooh, getting potential extra Nagas seems really good. Very well set up here. I'm gonna go for that Jumping Balloon. Taking 3. We're probably going to a 0-card hand next turn, which is a little bit scary. Let's see what else they can do alongside that, though. They still have that Guzma and Howler in their hand, right? Obviously, we're threatening the Dark Moon GX currently. Yeah, they are going to Guzma Howler here. So they can get Power Plant. Probably Unit Energy, I guess. And Fairy Charm Psychic, okay. The good news is, we're still just able to, like, Jumping Balloon him. Which is kind of just fine. When we know their hand is just a Charm. They top deck a Gear. Which fails, so... They can retreat here, I guess. I mean, they have to retreat. Yep. Over on not a bad attack here. We only have 40 health left on the Lopuff, so... We draw a Cynthia Caitlin, which is definitely awesome. Stadium is game. No stadium. I want to thin this stuff. Is it better for me to just Black Lance here? Black Lance puts him to 10 health on the back. And it means he has to find a way of doing something next turn, so... Probably correct. He's in top deck mode already. If he draws Tag Switch off the top, I'll be pretty tilted. Okay. That's fine. Lana's Fishing Rod is absolutely fine. That's the game, right? Alright, well. Able to beat Guardian, which is nice. No swell required. We just had early red and blue low puff pressure, basically. It's pretty sweet. Nice 5-prize turn. Alright, let's get one more game in. So we had that early Pidgey win. We had a bad PikaRom, where I even just gave him the game. But the game was lost, let's be honest. Because I think I played the entire game wrong, to be honest. But that went a little better. We'll try one more. Let's start up against some sort of fire deck. Maybe a green Zard. Maybe an ability Zard. So far, we've been pretty good at finding Sneasels on 1 and red and blue on 2. So we've showcased the deck quite nicely. Once again, our hand is pretty stacked. We get the Sneasel Poipole. I'm probably just going to tag Cool for a tag team Pokemon and then Com for Dedenne, to be honest. If it's in the deck. Alternative is to tag Cool for both Cynthia Caitlin and red and blue. And then we just Cynthia Caitlin this turn. Could be fine. Now we have to because it's a power plant, so. Ooh, double tag Cool. Okay, that's a large amount of cards. Which is good. Cards are good. Alright, Guzzlord is a super good card because he's put down a Volk and a Volk, which is obviously good for us. So let's grab these. Let's Cynthia and Caitlin away the Weavile. Let's tackle first. So 2 more Weaviles in the deck. Bunch of energies. I don't really want to take a Sableye. I guess I just take more of this. We're just going to accumulate the hand, I think. I think I get rid of Great Catcher, actually. The Com can be good for other stuff. I mean, pressurizing the a Zard could be good, but I don't see no Zard right now. Do I want to save this Com? I think I'll save the Com, right? I can red and blue. Okay, let's put this down and attach. Com seems fine to hold. 3, 6. I guess he does have some reason to stamp us because he knows we have red and blue. So next turn I'm discarding the spare Com and the draw for turn, I guess. And just grabbing another Sneasel here. We'll grab another Poipole. I can hold this Poipole, actually. Let's just hold this guy. See what happens. Putting the Weavile in deck, still value. And we're basically trying to lower the hand size a little bit so he's less incentivized to stamp us. Oh, okay. I guess one more game then. They were kind of bricking by the looks of things. Yeah, so Darkbox is in this weird spot where, like, some games I feel like it's a pretty solid deck, and then some games I'm just, like, dead on my feet, and I'm like, this deck has no space for stamps, it could do with more Gust, it could do with more draw, it could do with this, that, and the other, like, where are my B-strings, all these things, so, I don't know, I feel like it's gonna forever be, like, a 70-card deck that you have to just cut corners on and accept that you're not able to fit everything, but like I said, I think its plethora of its toolbox of attackers does sort of lend itself to have a decent matchup spread. Especially if some of these controlling decks get really strong. Which I think there's a chance for that to be the case. See a Volk Prism, so this could be Quagnag, it could be ADP, it could be a handful of things. We clutch the Com off the Lily so I can get a Sneasel here. So we're gripping onto that red and blue for next turn. So yeah, looks pretty decent. While we see more about our opponent's deck. Volk Prism with 160 hit points. What a troll. Tag call. So it's probably Arceus Palkia Dialga. It still could be a Quagnag version of that deck though. Possibly it's just playing Jet Geyser. Jet Geyser is a good ability to have. Even Solar Blast setting up some damage sometimes can be really solid. Yep, we see a big Ends Resolve. Only hits one target. But sometimes one is enough. If they have Metal Switch, they can GX attack. If they feel that's what they want to do. They're using the nice ADP sleeves, and I've only just realised that. Okay, their turn attachment is a water, and they're just going to send it to us. We pick up a space, which is phenomenal, because we're going to be throwing away dark energies here for the Naga that we're going to evolve into from the space. So, it's the absolute dream where we get 5 energies into play this turn. And also, in many respects, keeping this Volk Prism kind of like, in air quotes, trapped is maybe a good thing for us. We'll fire off a Black Lance. Okay, so they had Switch in hand. They have a Swell. Okay. We are limited in our attackers to deal with Keldeos, obviously. They do have Dedenne in their deck, though. You love to see Dedenne. Throw away Malolana and Great Catcher, which is fine. They do get themselves a metal. They also have a Cynthia to boot. Pretty decent. And we're just going to see the Ultra Creation GX. Okay. That sounds like a really bad idea, because I'm just going to Dark Moon GX now, and then he'll have no energies in play. So I think he's dead. He can't play any trainers next turn either. Like, he's so dead here. Is he ever alive here? Like, I don't think he's ever alive here. This feels like dead to me. Yeah. Like, that's pretty bad for you, bro. That's pretty bad for your health, I would say. We're a Sabletar attack away on this Dedenne. They can't stamp our hand. It's just game. Yeah, so Darkrai being faster is a big deal. He 100% had to have a backup attacker there. Alright, well, that was Darkbox. Other than the embarrassing PikaRom game where I approached it in all kinds of wrong, the deck did pretty solid. So, let me know what you guys think about this list. How have you been trying out Darkbox? What's your favorite Sneasel? All those questions and more can be answered down below. I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Cheers.